everyone.
Molly, everybody knows you, so you start.
But I want them to know you too, Judd.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, Molly and I are just kind of wing it like we do everything else. I've been director of the Primary Care Career Center for a little over, well, my anniversary with Pennsylvania Association of Community Health Centers is tomorrow, my 7-year anniversary. So, yeah, and I was with the Pennsylvania Medical Society for 20 years before that. One of the first things I did when I took this job is somebody said that you got to be in touch with Molly Talley. She knows all the residency directors and she knows all the medical students and everybody like that. So Molly and I have been working together for 7 years now, and it's been one of the most beneficial relationships I have as far as networking and getting to know people. Not only does she know everybody, but if I call up a residency director and say, Molly Talley told me to get a hold of you, they go, oh, Molly, okay, you've got an in, until I blow it. And then I'm done. But we've worked on, we did a few notes here. I know one of the things that we've worked on quite a lot is just getting the word out to family medicine residents, predominantly family medicine residents, but also through PAFP medical students, but just getting the word out about what FQHCs are. Something just as simple as education on what the F, the Q, the H, and the C mean, and what kind of places they are, what kind of medicine they deliver, what kind of care they deliver. Things like what makes them, why can they afford to see people despite their lack of health insurance, and those sort of things. And Molly, I don't know if you want to reflect on some of the things your residents have learned by doing that. And so.
Sure. I think, as Judd mentioned, one of the most important things that we can bring to our members and our folks in these segments of the pipeline is some education and to increase awareness of the variety of opportunities that they have available. Because we all know that family medicine residents are like the #1 most recruited specialty in medicine, by 7 times over the past 17 years, and it's just going to continue to accelerate. So they have a lot of options. And we try to coach them that they don't have to follow like the dollar signs. They can have a very fulfilling and well-compensated career following their heart and finding a mission match. So that's the kind of thing that Judd and I try to increase awareness about when it comes to practicing in a federally qualified health center or a rural health center or any primary care practice that has a federal designation. And building those personal connections, as you probably rationally expect, proves to be really the magic sauce. But we also try to talk with folks about perceived barriers and bust myths about practice in an FQHC. We find that that's very important. Students also really like to hear about loan repayment. So we kind of roll that into the talk as well. And I think as anything else, having a connection to someone who's a personal resource really helps. So folks, residents and students in PAFP hopefully sometime come across my name, or maybe I get a chance to meet and greet them in person, or do a presentation for their med school or support an FMIG event. But if Judd and I cover like double the space, we kind of amplify our collective message. We've worked over the years to, kind of pull our pitch together. And I'm very happy to introduce Judd to the folks that I work closely with as, another resource, in the non-clinical realm of career development. And Judd not only can offer education, but he and his colleagues offer some really helpful support services when it comes to, decision-making, applying, pulling together your CV, all that stuff. They can really be personal counselors in that career development space. And that's really nice, a nice benefit, I feel. And we collaborate on conferences as well. Is there more that you want to mention about the Primary Care Career Center?
Yeah, I was just going to say that one thing I don't think I said earlier, and you were kind of hinting at there, is that the primary care career center, unlike, we're one of the maybe a dozen PCAs in the primary care associations in the country. Of course, there's one in every state that actually does direct recruiting. So we're more of a referral source. I mean, our FQHCs do the actual hiring, interviewing and hiring, but we actually go out on Practice Link and on 3RNet and other means, go out and exhibit at virtual career fairs and so forth, hold our own career fairs, and then funnel candidates to our FQHCs. So that's why it's so vitally important for my connection with Molly to get an entree into residency programs. And even with Molly's introduction, they're not all letting me in, quite frankly. Because we're all competing for residents. And so, but some of them have, and we've had some good success. Just this year, many of you know John Russell at Abington. 3 or 4 of his family medicine residents are considering jobs at FQHCs in Philadelphia right now. So we're really seeing, I think some of it has to do with our FQHCs have had to ratchet up their salaries just to be competitive. And so we just did a salary survey, came out last November, and I don't have the exact number in front of me, but the average salary for a FQHC position in Pennsylvania was around $200,000, which is still a little bit below what some of our health systems are paying. I don't know what they're paying in your state, but some of them are paying more than that. But it's enough to make it okay to go and practice in an underserved setting. And not take a huge financial hit like it was for a while, quite frankly. And so, it's also been helpful to have Molly highlight some of the non-monetary benefits of working in a community health center setting, some of the practice, the clinical autonomy, some of those sort of things that you get when you're kind of maybe the only physician in a practice in a rural setting or whatever, with a larger organization behind you. So, and I just also wanted to highlight that in Pennsylvania, I mean, I know some of you are from other states, we have a very quickly growing FQHC family medicine world here, in that we have now, as soon as Lehigh Valley's health network's spinoff Valley Health Partners gets a lookalike approval, we will now have 4 in the past 3 years, probably 4 sizable organizations convert their primary care facilities, primary care practices to FQHC lookalike, and those are the Wright Center, which of course is the largest teaching health center in the country. St. Luke's network, which spun off 18 health centers, 18 practices into what was called Star Wellness and is now called Star, I think, Community Services, because they got sued for using Star Wellness. You figure they would have figured that one out before they went that way. Geisinger has spun off two practices, one in Hazleton and one in Wilkes-Barre. Just met their executive director today. And she's very excited to be part of the FQHC world. And then Valley Health Partners will be many of the primary care practices of Lehigh Valley Health Network in Allentown, Bethlehem area will be converting to lookalike status. All of them are right down the road from another FQHC. So it's kind of a strange world that's happening here. But what we're seeing is a lot of primary care, and we understand that UPMC has looked at this. We don't know if they're going to head this way or not. If they do that, it would be huge. It'd be a giant move because they're so large. So we're seeing, a great influx of family medicine into FQHC world, and I'm not sure where that's going to lead us.
Well, hopefully to better health for Pennsylvanians. I will add that Tracy Conti's program, UPMC McKeesport, I believe is a federally qualified health center. I know it's a health center in McKeesport. So we have a number. We have a number of different kind of iterations of this growing presence of the FQHC model practice within GME across Pennsylvania. We have
Right.
formally fully funded teaching health centers. We have two, both the Wright Center and Cornerstone Care, which is in the southwest corner of Pennsylvania. But we have different kind of folks in across like a spectrum of engagement with federally qualified health centers in their community or in their region. So much like Judd shared, we have some other residency programs that have established affiliations with their neighborhood community health center or their FQHC in their neighborhood, where they have now established several resident learner positions and FTE positions that are their faculty. So they're actually providing the physician FTEs for that FQHC. And in turn, it's where our residents are building their continuity practice. So over the course of 3 years, they're growing their practice in that milieu and really experiencing what practice can be and what practice is like in that milieu, which, as you know, the Graham Center data shows, proves that has proven that those graduates are much more likely to choose to practice in an FQHC after they graduate from residency. So we're hoping to see those number of primary care HIPSAs decrease as we see more and more family medicine residency programs expanding across Pennsylvania. And we'll have, I think, 3 new ones opening up in this coming academic year. They're recruiting, so they'll start July 2022. So that will bring us to 50, which is a pretty hefty number. And I have a Google map, and I kind of mapped out all of our residency programs, and then I overlaid critical care hospitals. And then the next layer should be, oh, where are the FQHCs? And just see where those neighborhood connections can be built where they don't exist already. So Judd shared with me a really interesting publication that came out of the California Primary Care Coalition that maps out like a path to GME, a roadway to GME for community health centers. And I thought, oh my gosh, Judd, that's what we've been talking about without like putting it down in writing over the last 7 years or so. So
Right.
it was really interesting to see this advocacy piece that was developed to educate community health centers about their GME options. And so it's all laid out in a grid, like, oh, you can kind of choose where on the spectrum you want to enter this pathway. It's fascinating. So I'm kind of interested in floating that with our group and seeing, where that takes us, where the next step to expand the network beyond, our early adopters who are already full in, how can we continue to expand that and move that forward? Oh, and I think just a word of background. What initially connected Judd's program and my work is our Pennsylvania Department of Health. They created several grant programs kind of to expand the impact of their primary care loan repayment program, one of which is a residency expansion project that the PAFP Foundation administers. The second of which is the Primary Care Career Center that Judd and the Pennsylvania Association of Community Health Centers manages. And then the next step in the pipeline is the loan repayment program. So all of these things are kind of like working together to flow together from one end to the next. So it's been fun to kind of reestablish those connections and work the room with you, if you will. One of our co-collaborators or partners in crime refers to us as the Judd and Molly Show, right, which is fun. And I think Judd, maybe you can tell the folks about what we've been working on lately, our latest project.
Yeah. So there is this spun out of a program that from Nebraska, Kansas, where this guy got some credit for it, some notoriety for it, where he recruited a bunch of family physicians to a rural hospital with the model of that they were mission-minded physicians who would spend approximately half the year practicing medicine in rural Kansas, and then would be given the ability to go and do missions overseas. And they recruited enough people so that they would always have coverage and people could go out and do this. And the other aspect of it was they raised awareness in the community and got the community behind this. And so that the physicians, when they came into the community, were welcomed with open arms. They were made to feel a part of the community. They were, integrated right away. It's a success, and they've changed that, and they've taken that and done some seminars called Rural Recruitment Reimagined. We talked to those folks, us, Molly, myself, our State Office of Rural Health Director, and the program coordinator for the statewide AHEC, and decided that their model was a little too Midwestern or far Western for us. We needed something a little more Eastern. And so we've been working on that. And actually what that has morphed into is a group that's meeting on a regular basis, including several of the colleges of medicine, some rural physicians, some folks from one of the medical director from the largest FQHC in our state, and some other folks we've started off just by cataloging all the rural medicine, rural residency and rural focused programs to get the pipeline programs that exist. And we're actually considering some sort of conference in the near future, well, probably not near future, in the COVID near future maybe, but where we would get together both employers who are recruiting, so it'd be not just FQHCs and RHCs, but also the Geisingers and Guthries and so forth that are serving rural areas in our state, and residency directors and programs, and maybe even bring in medical students and residents and have two parallel and at times intersecting tracks. So it's pretty exciting, and we've gotten folks from UPMC Altoona, Penn State, Geisinger Commonwealth, St. Luke's, and there's a dynamo of a doctor out in Indiana County, not far from Punxsutawney, home of Punxsutawney Phil, who is trying to get something started at Indiana Hospital, and she comes on every call. I don't think she's missed a single call, and she's a practicing family physician out there, and is very excited about trying to get something, a residency program or something like that going out in Indiana County. So, that has really gotten legs.
Is that Amanda Vaglia?
Yeah, Amanda Vaglia, yeah, or Vaglia or whatever, yeah.
We had dinner with her on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
All fired up, yeah.
Good.
Okay,
Good.
Any questions for Judd and for Molly?
I would just add too that I've recognized, and I think statistics bear this out, that students are really looking for innovative residency programs, as I'm sure you all know, and they're looking for those programs with relationships with federally qualified health centers, like those motivated medical students who are motivated by mission and a sense of caring for people who need it. Look for those opportunities in training because they're available. So it's a really nice, I think, kind of draw for a program to have that established culture, and it bears out in their recruitment success.
Thank you very much, Molly and Judd. And I'm going to ask
Ted, I think, had a question. Oh, sorry.
For Ashley, and that is, Ashley, I remember at the program director's workshop that from time to time, some program was struggling financially to maintain their family practice residency program. Usually it was because of losses happening in the outpatient center. And in Ohio, we've experienced just what Pennsylvania has. We've had just a fairly large number of residency programs convert their outpatient continuity clinic into an FQHC, and they do it for, the prospective payment system, the beneficial reimbursement. I'm not sure how many of the programs know about that nationally. I'm talking about residency programs. Is this an alternative? But I personally would hate to see even one more family practice residency program close in the country because of financial concerns of their sponsoring institution. And this seems like a very good solution for those people that are struggling trying to find the way to make the funding work out. So does AAFP do anything with the program directors to help them look at alternatives that they might consider? Because I think, becoming an FQAC. Looks like it's working in a lot of places.
You're muted, Ashley.
We can't hear you, Ashley.
Too many mute buttons.
There you go.
Double muted. I know. When I walked away, I double muted just to make sure. It's a great question, and I will share that with our graduate medical education team. We do support residencies in these situations, and one of the ways is through the RPS, the Residency Program Solutions Consultancy Program. Although sometimes if you're in financial troubles, consultant service isn't the first thing on your list, and so we also offer that support just through the organization. And we have been able to jump in and get involved in different ways in some of the situations when they've gotten really bad. And so we want to be on the front end with residency programs as much as possible. And then we're involved in our national GME expansion efforts, which are heavily focused on GME finance and financial reform in ways that allow expansion of residency programs and creation of new residency programs and expansion of positions overall. But I'll share this with our graduate medical education team. And then the Residency Leadership Summit, formerly PGW RPS conference, is this week. Actually gets started in about a day. So residency programs will be engaged there. And I'll check out the workshop programming too and see if there's something that might connect. Thanks for those.
Yeah, that'd be great, because that seems to be the overwhelming problem for most programs that are facing potential closure. So, boy, knowing about this before you get in that kind of trouble and putting in place a better financial model like this provides, plus a great learning environment, seems like a really good solution that a lot of people might want to know about earlier rather than at the tail end when they're sweating out how they're going to survive into the next year.